Welcome to the ArmaniTalks YouTube channel, the #1 YouTube channel for you to level up your communication skills, learn the art of public speaking, social skills, and personal branding to take your message to the world. If you're new to this channel, don't forget to hit subscribe right on below for 3 weekly videos on how to become better with words. For today's episode, I'm going to be talking about the power of simplicity. A couple of years back, there was this man named Echart Tolle, and he was around 50 years old at the time. His mom comes into his room and says, "Echart, you dropped out of Cambridge, you don't have a pension plan, you don't have a 401k, you're a loser. You are a complete failure in this life." And when Echart heard this, he was very upset by what his mom thought of him. When Echart was 29 years old, he was suffering from depression, and during his moments of darkness, he had his light bulb moment on his life path. He knew that he had to chase spirituality. He knew that he needed to learn as much as he could about the topic and teach other people about it. And that's what he was pursuing all the way up until age 50. But up until age 50, he didn't have much to show for it. And now his mom is calling him a failure. He wasn't going to let this stop him. He was going to keep on pursuing his life vision. Well, a few months later, he started to write this book. And initially, when he released the book, it didn't make too much of a noise. There wasn't too many people that bought it, maybe some close friends, maybe a few people from his seminars, but that was about it. Well, a few years goes on by, and there was this woman named Oprah Winfrey that discovered the book. She read it through, and after reading it through multiple times, it changed her life. And she knew that she had to get this man named Echart Tolle onto her program so he can explain his principles so other people can benefit as well. That book is known as The Power of Now. It's such a simple book too. He basically just talks about the power of now, the power of the present moment. All too often, people are either in the past, they're worrying about, oh, well, what if I said this? What if I said that? Or they're very focused on the future. Look, my present sucks, but the future is going to be much better. A lot of these people are stuck in the past and future at the same damn time, and it's just taken away from the present moment. And that's why this book, it was so simple, yet so profound. And once many people read this book, it started to shift their paradigm of life. And it impacted people that were thinking about committing suicide, people that were trying to overcome a trauma, depression. All these people were applying these simple concepts in this book, and it was changing their paradigm. But not everyone liked what Echart had to say. Some people thought this book was a little too simple. Power of now? Well, duh. Where's the complexity? Well, it's too simple. Something doesn't feel right. And this is the group of people that were undermining Echart Tolle's book. It's because they were so obsessed with the complexity. And you want to know something? This group of people exists in the communication skills world as well. A couple of years back, Echart Tolle talked to you about the power of now. And today, I'm going to talk to you about the power of simplicity. Once you understand the power of simplicity, your entire communication skills paradigm is going to change. You're going to focus more on the message, more on the other person, more on what you stand for versus trying to prove how smart you are. But you got to understand why this is so important, because initially people think that communication skills comes down to who's smarter, how can I prove I'm smart, how can I get other people to like me, while all that is the last thing that you want to be doing. A couple of years back, there was this public speaking competition that was going on. And there was this kid named Gregory that was giving his presentation. He was telling us a story about this one time when him and his friend were basically just chilling, and his friend told Gregory that he had just broken something in the principal's office. And then his friend decides that he's going to skip school and then just dips. Well, the principal eventually finds out that his precious material is broken, and he can't find Gregory's friend. So he finds Gregory. And he basically gives Gregory an ultimatum. Gregory, look, you could tell me where your friend is, and I will let you out of school early today. But If you don't tell me where your friend is, I'm going to suspend you for the rest of this week. At this point, the entire audience were captivated by Gregory's story. What's he going to say, we wonder? And Gregory could tell that the audience was very captivated with the story, so he changes up his body language, he lowers his tonality, and he says, once the principal gave me this ultimatum, I had to excogitate. The audience members pause. Someone bumps me on the shoulder. Hey, what does excogitate mean? I don't know, bro. One of my friends from the other side of the room looked at me and said, excogitate. I was like, I don't know what that means. And at that point, I see a bunch of people just pulling out their phones, looking up the word excogitate. They are completely ignoring what Gregory is saying next just because they're so hooked on what does excogitate mean. Eventually, I got curious myself. I pulled out my phone, I started looking up the word, and it means to ponder, to think things through. And a part of me is just wondering, why didn't you just say that? Why did you have to use this word that most likely no one in the audience understands what it means? And at this point, once we find out what the word meant, we put our phones away and we're listening to Gregory's story, but we're not listening with the same enthusiasm that we once were. Because at this point, we lost our train of thought. That simple blip in the story completely killed our momentum and we just weren't focusing. Unfortunately, Gregory didn't win the speech competition, but a huge part of me says that he would have won if he just kept it simple. Now, this was a good case of not keeping it simple, maybe due to unawareness. I didn't picture Gregory as someone who's trying to be smart. But here's the thing, by the time that I took the SAT in the 11th grade, I had to learn all these different words for the reading section, and I was one of the guys who were using these big words to sound smart. And you may have had moments like this as well. A part of me thought, man, I spent all this time learning all these different words, I better apply them. And I'm talking big, gargantuan words that are needed for the SAT. I'm just using it in regular sentences, and my friends are looking at me confused like, the hell's this kid saying? But I'm thinking, I'm smart. So there's two reasons why people keep it complex. They're either unaware like Gregory was, or they were like the younger me who just wanted to showcase how smart they were. In either situation, it hurts the entire message that you were trying to relay. Because remember this, the mind is an emergent property. We didn't always have the mind in our ancient times. We mainly focused with the body, with our intuition. But once our body started to develop more data, started to collect more data from previous generations, our nervous system started to lead to an emergent property called the mind. Blah, blah, blah. Why does this matter, Armani? The reason that it matters is because communication skills is meant to be done at a primal level. If you're trying to use too many words, then you're making someone's mind, the emergent property, overwork too much. You're not talking to their core self. But when you keep it simple, you are speaking right to their heart. So the whole concept of explain something as though you're speaking to a 5-year-old, that's the goal of communication skills. The goal of communication skills is not, and I repeat, it is not to keep on showing how smart you are. And typically our ego gets involved because once we have invested in a subject, we don't want to make it seem like it's so easy that everyone can understand it. But that's what gifted communicators do. They turn complexity into simplicity. But notice what I said, they turn complexity into simplicity. So typically when you are starting something for the first time ever, it is going to be complex. Very rarely is something simple from the get-go. Instead, simple is the goal, okay? So when you were first learning how to drive, everything was not easy, right? You're just like, oh, well, how do I hold this? How do I press the accelerator? How do I press the brake? Everything seemed complex at first, but you knew that eventually all the movements were going to become integrated and all of the movements were going to become simple. The biggest mistake that you can make is not having the simple goal in mind. When you think, all right, it's going to start off complex and it's going to get more complex later on. That's why a lot of people start different ventures, but only a few finish. The few people that finish, they had the goal of simplicity in mind from the very, very beginning. These were the individuals who said, all right, look, the car is very difficult to drive now, but eventually it's all going to become one. And these are the people that are able to persevere and keep on going. But the people who started driving the car and said, it's going to be like this forever, those are the people who kept piling on more and more and more, kept making something complex, even more complex, and eventually they quit. They gave up. So in terms of communication skills, make it the intent that you are going to speak in a way that a 5-year-old can understand it, a 4-year-old can understand it, and at times, if someone doesn't even understand language, your body language is so on point that they still can get clues of what you're saying. That's the entire purpose of communication skills, using your body and using words in a way where it's not overloading someone else's mind. Other people are thinking a lot as it is, but if you are one of these people that can keep it simple, then you are going to win. You want to watch out for people that are keeping it complex for ego games. It's just like the people that were attacking Echart Tolle initially. They were saying, oh, your advice is too simple. But it was that simple advice that saved so many people's lives. So the power of simple is always going to win. The power of now is always going to win. You don't want to make things more complicated than it has to be. Whether you're writing, whether you're doing a speech, whether you're having a one-on-one conversation with a friend, the principles still apply in the same context. You want to keep it simple. KISS. Keep it simple, stupid. Or keep it super simple. Whatever the point is, make sure you're making it quickly and efficiently. And the more that you focus on simplicity, the more that your personality starts to show as well. When you're focusing too much on the words and the complexity and how you're trying to sound smart, you're kind of getting in your head and you can kind of see it in the face. Your face typically gets like this. And people that are overly smart, and I call them fake smart, by the way, you can typically see it in their face. They kind of feel that boost in their ego by confusing others. Do not be one of these guys because they will be the quickest to lose their influence. Influence comes down to how many people that are willing to be led by you. And they are not going to allow you to lead them if they have no clue the roots behind your message. So keep it super simple because at the end of the day, complexity kills and simplicity solves. Join the latter party and make this the goal of your communication. This is the North Star, this is the bullseye, and this is why you communicate in the first place. Thank you for joining the ArmaniTalks YouTube channel, and I'll catch you on the next episode.